We are live.
Oh,
Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us today. And dear beloved Serena, what a joy again that we are here
yep,
in this space. It's like we're sitting in the same living room.
it is. It's very intimate.
So we invite everyone that is sitting in whichever space you are sitting to be in this intimate space with us right now, the
Yes.
same way that we feel the space is intimate for us.
Yes, through this blessed breath.
Let's just gather gently together, all of us. Hello, Dina. Good afternoon and good morning. Oh, it feels so warm. It feels like having a nice hot chocolate.
I'll have a hot chai though.
Okay, I also like hot chai. I like both.
Yes. Hi,
Joya,
Joya.
hello. Okay, so hello, Sharon.
Hi, Sharon.
Today we are going to share as usual in a flow that we
Unaware
don't
of.
unaware of. Hi, Maya and Joanna. And so it will just start streaming from us. And what I sense streaming right now is this permission that both Serena and I, and probably you, otherwise you wouldn't be here right now, have given to be whole.
Yes.
And it's important that we all acknowledge and realize that whatever experiences we went through until the moment we gave permission were ours to be lived, were created through us, with us, and by us, not against us, were actually created for us, with everyone that created them together with us. And that only when we gave permission was it possible for something else to occur different from those experiences that eventually, at many different times, both me, Serena, you, anyone listening has gone through that we probably didn't like. So we've all gone through a lot of experiences that we didn't like. Serena is a champion at that. She's like beyond the Olympics of going through
Crappy
experiences
experiences.
that no one would like. Like it's a consensus. No one would like them. Like no,
Exactly.
actually, we wouldn't even. I believe that most of us wouldn't even be here already. But the determination that Serena has had to stay here is just off the scales. So, anyway,
That's
whatever
a
the
good way to put it.
experiences, yeah, whatever the experiences, any one of us, because our experiences are so unique, it's not like we can sort of measure the degree of intensity or the degree of how hard they were or so on. It's like it's not a championship or something like that, you know. But when I say that the level of experiences that Serena has gone through is off the scales, it's just literally because it is. I mean, it's not a wanting to make it, more important or
No.
more worthy or anything like that, because for each one their own inner world and outer world is as intense and relevant and all in each reality. So the thing here that I am pointing towards is that we all had, all the time, a choice. All the time we had choices. But sometimes the choices were kind of unfair in a sense when they were only within the human scope of choices. However, in the background, there was always a choice going through. Like, for instance, you can share a bit of what choice was like for you, Serena, without going into details. Obviously, it's not necessary, but there was always a grander choice in the background that was the default choice.
Yes, default, yes.
Yeah. And so we've always, all of us, have all had, us humans, I mean, that default. It's always been there. So we came in with a default plugged in that ensured that whenever we were able to tap into that default and choose, okay, I give permission, things would start shifting, we would start awakening, etc., etc. Right? Mm-hmm. So it's always, no matter what any of us has been through, been a matter of choice. And so now I open it up also for you, dear sister. What would you like to share around that?
Well, when you first started speaking about it, it was like the awareness that you were giving a card, a freedom card, to each person that we are sharing this with, because that's what it's about. When I started to work on the journey that I experienced, I did it the first 10 years from a place of extreme victimhood. Look at what happened to me. Oh, poor me. But only when I met Norma Delaney did I begin to see things from a different viewpoint. And at times I didn't like the idea that I was fully responsible for everything that I had been through, because I had so much judgment. I had so much judgment. And this is what I talk to the people I work with. It's, you cannot judge. You have to come into the core of you. And it's not have to from mind, but it's make a choice. Are you going to continue to beat you up? And when I worked with Norma for many years, she'd start going like this, beating herself up. And I'd go, stop it. And she'd go, but that's what you're doing to you, Serena. And oh my God, I would get so pissed off at her. But she had to use different means with me to catch my attention. When I first discovered my soul purpose, my contract, so to speak, which was to fully awaken and realize who I am in human form, that was amazing to me. It was a profound gift. Oh, this didn't happen to me because I'm bad? Which was a very deep belief inside of me. So as I've made this journey and I've looked at situations, instances that I've had, I had to look at, am I totally smooth with it? Is there not one tiny hiccup of judgment with it? Now, some of those places did have hiccups of judgment. And so I would sit in breath with those memories, those parts of experience that to me seemed so horrific. Many times I had to revisit certain experiences because I didn't know how to come to full acceptance in compassion. And this is where I would tell my soul, I don't know how to accept this. I do have judgment about it. And you see, the compassionate soul of us already knows it. Doesn't have any problem with us having judgment. It's the problem of pain that causes us to make a different choice. Because when I'm in judgment, I'm constricted. energetically, I'm stopping this beautiful flow of breath into my body because I'm saying no. And so many times I would learn to turn toward my soul, which I didn't know was me, and say, you have to fill me with compassion. Help me to see through your glasses the truth of this choice. And Norma, in her blessed wisdom, she'd say, you want to pick and choose what's happened to you, Serena. Doesn't work that way. Does not work that way. So I got to make friends with my rage, a huge rage, my guilt, my wanting to die, my passion to wanting to die. Did I do it in one breath, in one visit? No. It was like peeling an onion. But it doesn't have to be as laborious for you because, one, you haven't had the level of experiences I've had, thank God. But two, a pathway has already been created, so this experience of integration, of self-love, of awakening is now easier than it was 10 years ago. Feel that. Tanya, would you like to speak about that?
Yes, I would. And I was gonna say something and it just slipped, it happens all the time.
Yeah, I know.
But anyway, actually about that, it's important to mention, and I've repeated that a lot of times and shared that publicly, that when there's this shift going on, that we become less ego oriented, and I'm purposefully using that word instead of mind, because there is a bit of a confusion about the word mind. Mind is not brain. The
Right.
mind, it functions in every single cell of our body, physical and non-physical. The mind is the part of us that allows us to manage manifestation, to manage interaction, to put creation in motion. So the mind is not that big bad wolf that we need to annihilate and run away from at all cost. No, no. Actually, if it weren't for the mind taking over and doing stuff that it's not supposed to do throughout the part of our lives that we weren't aware that we were capable of much more, we wouldn't even be here. So first things first, thankfulness to our mind for somehow getting us through. Now, as soon as we give that permission that I started mentioning and that you have so beautifully shared through your example of real life, how it works, as soon as we give that permission, a kind of a transfer starts to happen, in which the responsibility that the ego had through the mind to kind of protect us and help us survive starts being transferred through this permission, through this invitation to our essence. To, I like to call it essence rather than soul, but we can also use soul interchangeably, just as long as we realize when I'm using the
It's
word
the same.
soul,
Yes.
I'm meaning the wholeness of us, not the part that is just connected to human experience, because there are different levels of spirit. And so we're not going to go into all of that complication. It's useless. Sorry. Sorry if you're into that. I don't mean to, it's not a patronizing kind of thing. It's just in this point, it's useless at this moment to go into that kind of discussion. But so what happens is that when that permission comes, then what do we start doing? We start integrating the ego, in a sense, which is the aspects of personality that have been created in order to deal with duality, to deal with the world of illusion, right? And why do we start to integrate them? Because they have had to be disintegrated. There was no other way. Actually, it was the only way to navigate. And please be aware of this, that you did nothing wrong. None of us did anything wrong by becoming disintegrated. It's fascinating when you can see it from this perspective as a witness, and you're no longer dealing with all of that disintegration. It's fascinating, the beauty of what the soul can achieve with the human aspect through disintegration, in order not to get completely lost, because it's the disintegration actually that allows us not to get completely lost. That's really strange, isn't it? Because when we are navigating from any given disintegrated aspect, in your case even more fully so, because the dissociation actually had names and physical features and all of that. But when we're navigating from any one of those disintegrated aspects, that helps the core of us remain untainted. So we go out and deal with whatever experience is out there within that frequency. So we have this aspect that's within that frequency, that one that's within that frequency, and so on. So we're like a kind of an orchestra with a load of frequencies going on at the same time. Usually, of course, the disintegrated aspects have all very low frequencies. Low frequencies, as opposed to high frequencies, just means that they dwell in duality more than the higher frequencies. The higher frequencies do not dwell in duality. That's the only thing about high and low, okay? It's not a hierarchical kind of thing. So anyway, well, it seems to be, and our mind just can't conceive it any other way, so it's fine. Whatever. So what happens is, when we give that permission and we say, dear essence, I allow myself to come back home. I want to know me. I want to know myself. The first thing, wanting to know oneself, is wanting to know all of those parts, because they're all you. No matter what they've done, no matter how you judge them, no matter what you perceive about them, they're all you. And even the people outside there that you think are not you, but if you're judging them, are you. So yes. The moment we have a judgment, a really strong judgment around something, there is something then in us that is a reflection of that, whatever it is. And it doesn't mean that it's from this lifetime. It can be from any time in our existence. And it comes up in the form of judgment against another or against the situation or whatever, just to call our attention. So these aspects receive the calling. The moment we give permission, receive the calling. It's time to come back home. And that, I can imagine, must be a really big sort of kind of explosion, kind of a thing that wreaks havoc in that aspect's kind of perception, because each aspect only perceives its own kind of thing. So each aspect has its own story, its own purpose, and it cannot perceive beyond it. So there's no way to fix aspects, to heal them, to transform them. It's not that way. It doesn't work that way. Aspects function within a purpose. Each one has its own purpose. Once its purpose is no longer necessary because you're asking your essence to take over, then it's time for it to come back home. Now, many aspects will not want to come back home immediately. Why? Because you're still not really trusting your essence anyway. So because we don't trust our essence immediately, even after we say, okay, I allow, we still have that doubt, which is, what the hell? If I did have a soul, if God existed, or whatever you want to call it, I wouldn't be in this mess. This is the perception we have. And so it's like, I'm not so sure I'm going to trust right now. Like, I need to see a little bit of proof. And then the funny thing is, we see proof all the time. Like, every single day there's proof there. But just because we're wanting to hang on to the, I'm not so sure if I want to trust, then again, it's a choice to hang on to the doubt instead of the trust.
Yeah.
So the aspects start coming closer, and that's when it becomes really confusing. So anyone who is going through their integration process and
really confusing, really.
And I will pass it on to you right away, because you've got a load of examples around there. We all have, but but yours are so unique. Anyway, once that the noise just goes louder. I mean, what happens if you call a crowd back, like, closer to you? What happens is that you can hear the crowd now. Now the crowd is not just the dim, whatever sweet noise in the background or irritating noise or whatever. No. Now it's right here in the living room with you. And you're like, oh, what the hell's going on here? That's integration. So, dear friends, if you're going through your integration process, no matter how long you started, if there are still some resistant aspects out there, it does get noisy. It's normal. It's not that you're crazy, that you have some kind of problem, that you're not doing it right. No, actually, I would say the noisier it is, the more proof you have that you're doing something right.
Yes.
But for the noise to get lighter, what is necessary? Exactly what Serena was sharing. Reduce the judgment. Reduce the judgment. Ask your soul, please fill me with compassion, because you don't know compassion.
Not authentic.
You don't know compassion. Not the real compassion that comes from soul. Okay? Right. So I know you've got loads of stuff to share right now, and there is this question here I'd like to show.
I see it, and I will touch on it.
It's within the context, right, that you're going to share. So please go ahead.
I can state this unequivocally, 100% of the time. Anyone who chooses to do aspect integration will have difficulty, one, differentiating the aspect from themselves. This is a big piece of it, and I really want you to take a breath. Everyone just take a breath, because a lot of what Tanya said is like, wow. And I'm going to slow it down for you. Integration means that when the aspects come close and they bring their emotions with them, emotions of fear, feeling inadequate, anger, whatever, that comes into your physicality and you experience it as you now. And this was one of the hardest things that I had to cope with, because Norma would say to me, it's not you, it's aspect energy. And I'd go, what do you mean by that? And she'd say, I want you to look around the room. So right now, everybody, I want you to look around your room and notice the emotions you may be having. You may not like this conversation. You might have your belly clenched in fear. You may have your shoulders tight. I'm inviting you to look around the room. Is the emotions connected to anything in this now moment? So PTSD, post-traumatic stress disorder, is a piece of memory work that most of us have to do. Some of us very small. We may have had one or two traumatic events in our life. Other people, loads of them. But when you look in the here and now, in this very moment, what is the reality? It's peace. It's stillness. Look out your window. If you have a window you can look out. Even if the trees are waving in the breeze, there is peace. The emotions belong to aspect energy. And when you stop and you say, what is this about? And let them speak to you. Hear them. For me, I needed to write down what I was hearing because I had a lot of different voices talking to me at once. I had many, many voices and many different emotional reactions going on at once. It does get messy because these aspects, they're a piece of energy with awareness, remembrance, and emotion, and they come back.
And independence.
And independence, they get to choose, okay? So for me, with personalities, it was, are you sure they're not alive? And Norma would say, no, they're parts of you, Serena. I don't get it, I would say. And she'd say, I know. Come out of your mind. Don't try to understand it from this. Breathe and sense what I am saying. And the difference was when I would breathe and let go of trying to understand, which we all do. We all want to understand. If I just understand, I'll be able to get control of this mess. Oh my God, help me to get a control of this horrible mess. That is an actual opposite of what can help you. It's when you surrender and you let the emotions come. You don't fight. And you write down what you're hearing and saying. And I do this with my clients when I work with them. I say, close your eyes. Do you see a wall there? Every time. Yeah, I do. Or a door there? Yeah. Would you be willing to open the door? Would you be willing to take one of the bricks out of your wall so you can see the truth? You see, the wisdom, our essence, when we were little tykes, knew that we didn't have the emotional or the mental maturity to go, oh, well, this is why this is happening. No. And so our essence took that trauma and put it away in the freezer until we were adults, until we could make a new choice. Is it uncomfortable? Oh, yes, absolutely, positively, 1,000,000%. It's uncomfortable. Does it take courage? Yes, absolutely. Does it take a commitment outside what you can even imagine? Absolutely. Do you have to do it alone? No. No. And I get chills when I say that. I get chills. For only the essence of you, this exquisite energy of the wholeness, the bigness of you has been waiting this entire lifetime for you to turn around and say, will you be here and walk with me? Will you support me and feed me the courage when I want to run? Will you help me to see this from truth and non-judgment? And I tell you, there is nothing that you have lived. Hear this. Nothing that you have lived that is judged. That's a big statement. So if anyone who is listening who is on death row, who is a pedophile, nothing is judged. I got to experience that firsthand. A love from my essence that was so pure It held me in a cocoon of love and compassion, held me so tight as I had to face the nightmare of my life. My heart overflows with gratitude for all the years that I worked in therapy with psychiatrists, psychologists, and therapists. They did not know of this realm of compassion, of this essence, the truth of who we are, this magnificent, brilliant human being that we are. Breathe those words in. You are a magnificent, brilliant human being. Feel that. Don't reject it. For you can learn how to respond ably instead of react to the aspects that are knocking on the door, saying, please listen to me. Please love me. But if you have one shred of judgment, they cannot integrate. For me, it took years to come to a place of no judgment, to set me free. It is an astounding journey. I hope that you can sense what I'm saying about it being messy. Don't fight it. They're clamoring to be heard. It's like if a monster approaches you and he's smelly and dirty and his hair, his fur is standing on end and he's growling. Do you think you're not going to feel that energy as he approaches? Well, these aspects of you have pain and fear and anger. And as they get close to you, they bring that with them. Your job is to begin to differentiate between the energy of emotion and the essence of who you are. To breathe so deeply in the core of you, to feel your physicality, for it is your strength. To sit in the presence of the clamoring loudness and not run. Take it away, Tanya.
And I am sure, I am so sure, each and every single one of you, just like us here, can do it. You can stay. You are capable of staying still within that clamoring thirst for love.
Yes.
That's all it is, nothing else. And you can, because you are the essence of you manifest in human form. And therefore, there is nothing that you allow and decide that you cannot do. It's that real. And I'd like to go through 3 themes here in this sequence. So one is about the difference between mind and brain, as I was saying before, and the fact that the mind is essential, but the mind, it just shifts gears. So it is no longer mind in terms of being ego aspect energy. It becomes the computer base that soul or essence uses in order to navigate physical reality. So it is magnificent. It has so many unexplored capacities that we keep on discovering more of them. And one of the capacities that I really love is when I want to learn something new, like, because this passion of existence, of beingness, which is so sweet and loving and joyful, and serene, wants to experience more and more different things. And so I get these inner callings. Okay, let's now explore this. And I'm like, oh, okay, I don't know anything about that, but that doesn't matter at all, does it? So what happens is an opportunity comes my way, of course, brought by this openness of essence that wants to experience, and my allowing that I say, yes, okay, let's go there. And an opportunity to be in touch with other humans who have that skill or those skills that I am looking at expanding. And so all of a sudden, seemingly out of the blue and by magic, but actually through the law of manifestation, that's how it happens when you set the intention. So the intention comes from within to explore a new arena, and then that just sets everything in motion, like I don't know, it's just like lightning, it's so quick. Then I come in touch with these people that are into this or that or whatever it is that I want to explore. And somehow we interact for a while. It can be at an event, it can be a meeting through other friends. It can be like we meet online and then somehow things happen that whatever, we can develop a project together, different ways. The thing is, and the reason I'm sharing this with you is that you can even now with us, Serena and I are both experts at aspect integration, right? So you, any one of you, can be that for you. You can just absorb our skill.
Yes.
Isn't that fantastic? So just by being and allowing, you say, yes, yes, I allow this for me. I allow this wisdom. I allow this capacity to go deeper into this. And
Yeah.
that's how it happens. So for me, like, imagine I need to learn how to do some kind of graphic thing. And all of a sudden I'm in touch with this like fantastic person that does the most brilliant graphics, and then all of a sudden it starts coming to me how you do it, or I don't know, all sorts of stuff. It happens to me all the time. So I invite you to be aware that on one hand, yes, you are capable of whatever you choose. And that's why, for instance, when you book a session with us, it's not just the session itself that's happening, that we're sort of sharing about it. And a lot of stuff is happening on the background that no one is even aware of it. And then you just absorbing, and then it becomes easy. That's why Serena was sharing. There's an open pathway now. It's easier. It's much easier because each one that goes through a certain thing and masters it provides that just by being present or just by having done it, you see. So when you get in touch with someone, like even now witnessing this program or whatever, and like you can go on YouTube and watch tutorials about whatever you want to learn or whatever, just be open to absorb the knowledge, the skill, and the wisdom that is being brought to you. The other important thing is being so grateful that there are other humans. And the reason I'm saying this is because on our journey, many times we go through moments where we wish we were on a desert island. Like we say, you know, if there were no one else here, it would be much easier, because usually it's others that trigger us. Fortunately, there are others to trigger us.
Yes.
Otherwise, half of the stuff we could come into, we don't. But they are not only here to trigger us, they're here to enrich us. We all enrich each other. It is so fantastic that we have created this experience here on earth that has all of these billions of humans. So open your heart wide. Remove any resistance they might still be hanging around towards other humans as if they are some kind of a pest or something. They are your richness. We are each other's richness as well as our own. Like the moment we tap into our own richness and start spreading the jewels,
Yes.
you know, then we can tap into anyone's jewels and treasures, even if they aren't tapping into them. That's the fantastic thing, because that's what you access. You access same frequency. You access the frequency you're at in anyone and everyone, no matter how oblivious each person might be of their true magnificence. Now, another thing I'd like to mention is about the truth that you were talking about, that we sometimes run into parts of our story that seem completely impossible, like, no, that can't be true. Dear one, I invite you to take a deep breath with that. If there is stuff coming to you, to your conscious awareness, and you're running this sentence, this can't be true, just stay, say no more. It is true. It is true. Just stay with it. Do not keep on denying it, because it's so painful to that part of you that is trying to show you that, to constantly be denied. Don't keep on doing that. Please allow this part of you to come forward, to be able to trust you, to be able to be held by you. Please. And the last thing I'd like to mention around this whole theme, around what you were sharing, Serena, was a very important thing that sometimes comes my way, is people wondering whether they have an entity attachment, like whether that thing they're feeling is an entity. Mm-hmm. Sure enough, sometimes they do. But I'd like to share with you one thing. First of all, if you do have an entity attachment, you're not a victim. You attracted that entity because in you there is the aspect that is the same, that has the same frequency. And so that entity felt drawn to you and knew it could operate through you because you have that in you. You have an aspect that you have not recognized that allows that entity to be using you to be around here. So if you do have an entity attachment, it's no big deal. And you don't need to go to a witch doctor or anything to get rid of an entity. The only thing you need to do is declare firmly that you do not authorize any outside entity or energy to use your energy, to use your life, to use your vessel for their own purpose or for any other purpose, and they have to be commanded to leave immediately. That's it. Your word, your command is granted because it's a universal law that no other entity can interfere with you if there is no permission. And you are giving permission when you are dwelling within that kind of aspect energy that is unrecognized but is there. There is something there that pushes it towards you. So become aware. Now, when you let go of that entity leaves and you still feel stuff, that's you. That is your aspect now. So it's like this. Once you declare, there's no way the entity is going to stay. It's just not possible. Okay? So you declare, but then the only way the entity could stay is it leaves, but it could come back if you don't stop now and acknowledge that aspect that is asking for your attention. So then you just stay with you, breathe, and become aware. And yeah, I know those are the kinds of aspects no one wants to look at, no one wants to acknowledge, because they're really tough. But that is where love is most needed. That is where your attention is truly gonna bring alchemy, magic into your life. Because those aspects are the strongest ones for a very simple reason. They hold the most energy in them. So once that energy is unlocked and set free, then it's available. And it's available in its opposite sense. Because once you bring an aspect back home, or once an aspect finally accepts to come back home, would be the easiest way to put it. But you stay firmly so that it can come back home, it can accept sooner or later. Once that happens and the energy is burst open, then it starts being neutralized. So all of the purpose it had before, that energy was serving you within the purpose of that aspect, it disappears. That purpose disappears. But the wisdom and the skill, what I was talking about at the beginning, like that we can tap into anyone's wisdom and skill in a certain thing, it's the same thing. Your aspect, it has a wisdom and a skill that it could not have gained without going through that experience or those experiences it's been through. But when distilled, it is precious. It is gold. It is not a negative thing anymore. It is completely neutralized. And that is a really, really big richness. So it's worth it. 100 and I don't know, 300%, 500%. Go ahead. And I wanted to mention this because lately there have been a few people coming to me with this issue around entity attachment, and it's so simple to get rid of an entity, really. And sometimes it's not an entity, because sometimes the aspect is so dissociated that it looks like an outside entity. And it's so kind of dark that it's hard to accept that is me. No, that has to be an entity. And now over to you, my dear sister.
Oh, that's so funny. Yeah. You know, what we're asking you to do is to be conscious, to be aware, to be honest with yourself. If during this conversation today you've had your stomach grip because you didn't like what we were saying at times, you need to pay attention to those parts. You know, for me, I had so many personalities and they all looked different, you know. I even had a personality of my father and my mother in my system. You know, I had great darkness in my system. But the thing about entities, because I've also been asked about it, is you don't need to be afraid. It's not like the Exorcist movie. You know, it's you get to choose. Now, when you say you must leave, are you being honest, or is there a shred of, well, maybe I don't want that to leave, you know? That's where, if you're not honest, then you're not coming from your authority. And that's where I had to look at things more than once, many times, because I wasn't honest. You know, I was asked to notice, hey, there's this entity here with us today. Would you look at it? And so I said, oh, yeah, sure. And for me, you know, I can see on the other side of the veil so easily. And he came forward, and he was one of the men that had done experiments on me. And he was very sorry for what he had done to me. And he asked for my forgiveness. And I was like, well, of course I forgive you. it was my journey. I chose this journey. And he looked at me and he goes, "Why are you so different than the other people I experimented on?" And I laughed and I shared with him why. And he said, "Well, there's a lot of other entities here that want to talk to you." Now we're talking maybe 40 or 50. And so I've been slowly moving through these entities. Now, this is not integration. This is entity work. And some of these entities, they come to me and they're in such chaos and they can't even communicate very well. And I have to tell them they need to go. They cannot stay. And I don't let them come and attach to my energy. They do not have permission for that. But it's part of awakening. And I say, could I ask, why is it that I don't seem to get anywhere with breathing? That is such a wonderful question.
Okay, there's another one here, which says, perhaps entities are on lower vibrational patterns living in our field asking for our attention to face them. Some are, but some are actually other entities, not us.
Right.
That
and
is part of it. Yes, Sharon. Yes, great statement. It's
yes.
true as
and
well.
If you have a door open to them, they will come. And a lot of people do. So to your
we've
question,
got a question here, which
yes,
is really great.
So this thing with breathing is something that I run into a lot. People say, well, you do this breathing and you seem to connect to your core and blah, 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 and I can't do it. It takes practice like anything. If you are breathing to get something, let that go. And look at the belief around breathing. If you're breathing to integrate and get rid of something, you're not going to get anywhere. The breath that Tanya and I do is the breath of yes, yes, with no agenda, no plan, nothing but yes, as I drop deep into my core, connecting to my breath, to my physicality, letting my belly rise and fall with my breath, connecting to my body, not in resistance to my thoughts that are racing, which they used to. Now my mind is my best friend. But in the beginning, I would try to fight my thoughts. Both Tanya and I have free breathing sessions on my website. She has breathing sessions on her website. Mine are very beginner breathing sessions. They start at 10 minutes so you can begin to get connected to your breath. But you need to look around at your beliefs. What are the beliefs around breath? What is it going to do for you? Is it going to fix you? That's not what breath is about. Breath is opening the door to your essence, to the more that you are, bringing that energy into your physicality through this vehicle of breath, where you keep your mouth closed and you breathe through your nose. I invite people to notice when you start to breathe, does your muscles clench up? Does your mind race in resistance? Just to be aware of those things, not in resistance, but to observe them. Continue to drop into your core. Now, when I was taught the breath 27 years ago, I couldn't do it. I could not do it. So I started with baby steps. I would watch my hand on my belly rise and fall, and I would focus with my hand as it moved up and down, and I breathed. That was the best breath I could do. But I didn't give up. I continued to practice day in and day out. And I hear people say, well, I do breathing. And I said, when? Oh, well, I do it in the morning for 10 minutes. And, well, I do it for 10 minutes in the morning. Well, If you're living a full 24 hours and you give 10 minutes to breath, what kind of results are you going to get? I would practice this breath when I was driving, when I was on the toilet, when I was cooking dinner, when I was walking. I would practice this breath all the time. Do you give that kind of commitment to the breath? Don't observe it from judgment. Discover. When we say discover the magic, we're saying open to a new possibility. This breath is a miracle breath. Start where you're at, not from judgment. Feel your belly as it rises and falls. Notice your thoughts. Don't try to squish them down and push them away. Feel. Feel. Are you okay with feeling? I wasn't. The first few years, I would get so antsy and I'd have so much anxiety come up. But you see, I didn't know I was opening the door to all that I had repressed all those years. Have no plan how the breath is supposed to look and feel. Keep doing it. You know, I would hear Norma say, it's the lake. Drop into the lake. Fall to the bottom, open your eyes and look around in the lake because you can breathe in this lake. And for years I'd think, I don't get it. She'd say, it's okay, sweetie. And just like she cheered me on, we're cheering you on. We really are. I have 15 breath sessions that you can listen to. Tanya has a load of them. I don't know how many now.
Hundreds, more than like over 200.
So we have a lot. Be patient with yourself. Oh, please be gentle. You know, I encourage the people I work with to put your arms around you. The hug that you give you is so much more than any hug that another human being can give you. Can you pat your face? Say, it's okay. It's all right, sweetie. You know, in some ways, I feel I was very blessed because I could see everybody. Every aspect was big and tall, little and small, skinny or fat. They were ants, and they were fairies, and they were monsters, and I could see them all. And I was blessed in a way because they all looked very real. And so I began to see them and notice me as separate from them, and that was a gift. Ask your soul to help you to see your aspects, whether it's an energetic vibration, so that you can begin to separate from the emotionality of what they hold and you feel the essence of who you are. And be honest with yourself. Don't lie to yourself because it's such a waste of your time. Do you want to add anything, Tanya?
Well, again, I had something to add, but it slipped.
You know, it's Christmas time. The greatest gift you can give yourself is to take the time for you. It's not going to work if you do it for a half hour a day. It has to become the number one priority.
Yeah. And you don't have to kind of sit down or lay down on the sofa to do it.
No.
It's
You
something.
do in the beginning, you know.
Yeah, at the beginning you do a part of a part of it, but then you need to bring that part that you've done into your daily life.
Yes.
Like whenever you remember whatever you're doing, oh, let me breathe. And it's not that you weren't breathing before, otherwise you'd drop dead, but it's let me become aware, let me become conscious of my breath, which means let me become aware of me. And this is where it all starts and ends. Let me become aware of me. Because you are the beacon of everything in your reality. That's it. So
Yes.
you bring it into daily life until it becomes second nature.
Yes.
Then it's just you're you're in the breath, consciously aware of being in the breath all the time. It becomes second nature. But that requires surrender. And one of the main reasons why it's hard to initially come into the breath is because we're out of the body and we've been there for a long time to protect ourselves from feeling, just like Serena was sharing. And now coming into the breath means feeling, means there's stuff there that is going to show up. And that's why there is many times a resistance. Anyhow, it is your will, your choice that determines, no matter whether there's a resistance, no matter whether it's a little bit hard initially, it doesn't matter. You choose. You keep on having the opportunity. Choose, re-choose. Choose as many times as you need to. Just keep going. Because the breath is not like kind of a tool that you have to sort of create somewhere out there or go and learn in a book or anything. No, it's here 100% of the time, just like you are being invited to be. That's the
Yes.
point. That's why the
Yes.
breath is just that simple. It's just being, being here, being in that space. Notice when you become aware of it, notice it becomes more silent. Notice the body quietens down and there is an availability. And now you ask your essence to fill that space that opens up. Well, then magic happens. That's it.
And if I can do it, anyone can do it. It is a miraculous breath. And if you truly, truly want to connect with it, tell your essence to guide you, to show you, to open you to it. Keep surrendering. Be kind to you. Be aware of the thoughts that you have towards yourself.
And trust.
Yes. You aren't
Sharon,
here by mistake.
no, no one is.
No.
Sharon shares here, to wash the dishes, feel the water, smell the soap, listen to the movement of the sounds. Yes, it's exquisite, isn't
Yes.
it? It's
Yes.
exquisite, all of it.
Yes. When you go to the bathroom and you feel the release of your bladder and you go, ah.
Ah, that feels so good. Yeah.
For me, it was like new because I had never felt my body's experiences except pain. But there is a world of experiences that are so normal that when you eat a meal, do you savor each bite? Do you taste it? Or do you wolf it down because you're out in the ethers thinking about other things? This is about becoming conscious. And the breath is the vehicle that allows you to do it.
And I believe for today, we've kind of
Yes.
come full circle with our sharing. Oh, it feels so good. Oh, so
Yes.
delicious.
Thank you, everyone, for
Thank you so
being
much,
here.
everyone, for your love. It's so strong. Your love right now is just amazing.
Mm.
Thank
My
you.
heart is overflowing with gratitude.
Love you all. Thank you very, very
Love
much.
you all. Yes.
Oh, and you, Serena, I mean, yeah.
Yes, dear sister.
That love, love, love.
Yes, my heart is overflowing. Tears are in my eyes. I'm just so
Oh,
grateful.
do allow this for you.
Give this gift to you this holiday season. Make it your gift to you. More than any other present that you wrap, put the gift of breath and integration of aspects for you under the tree, or light a candle at Hanukkah for you. Whatever it is that you celebrate, make sure you make this your most priceless gift just for you.
Thank you.
Yes.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Bye for
Oh,
now.
and by the way, just so you know, we're coming live every time the dates meet. So it was 11/11, now 12/12. Now it will be on the 1st of January.
Yes.
So same time, or maybe we change the time, whatever, but it's on that day. So it's always like then 2nd of February, 3rd of March, and so on. Okay.
All right.
Thank you very much.
Bye for now.
Love you. See you right at the beginning of 2023.
Yay.
Yay, yay, yay.